Hey there riders, Moto Journo Kris here, and I thought I'd quickly cover the announcement of the standard version of the 890 Adventure. I had an opportunity to test the 890 Duke R thanks to Moto Hub here in Sydney last week and was really impressed with the powerplant, which adds to the anticipation of seeing the Adventure version. Now the review of that will be out next week, but for now let's look at the 890 Adventure. Just in case you missed the R and Rally video, I'll go over the full bike and point out where we are seeing the differences between the standard version and the up-spec R version. Straight up, the 890 features the larger capacity parallel twin, adding 10% more power to reach 77 kilowatts or 105 horsepower alongside 100 Newton meters of torque, also up over 10% or 12 Newton meters. It is worth noting the Adventure is down on power compared to the Duke, but slightly up on torque, with the peak torque available lower in the rev range, obviously having been tuned for adventure riding and probably touring as well. The big advantage according to KTM is 20% more rotating mass for a smoother low to mid-range characteristic, which should make the 890 an easier thing to ride at lower speeds, as well as boosting corner stability. I can definitely attest to both those facts having tested the Duke, although I haven't ridden the 790 for point of comparison. The 890 Adventure is also Euro 5 compliant with new balancer shafts, a new conrod, and new horizontally split crankcases. There's also a new slipper clutch that's beefed up to handle the extra performance, a larger oil cooler, 2 oil jets, and the gearbox has been toughened on the 4th through 6th gear cogs. Add lighter springs and shorter lever travel, and there's also quicker and easier gear changes according to KTM. The clutch is cable operated for those wondering, so no hydraulic unit here. Naturally, you're getting cornering traction control with a faster reaction time, and it is deactivatable for the more advanced rider. If you want rally mode, that's an optional extra and gives 9 levels of slip control. Otherwise, you just get the standard 3 modes alongside cornering ABS with an off-road mode, which is also disengageable if you want to turn it off entirely. If you're comparing to the 790 Adventure, KTM are boasting both the ABS and traction control systems have been tweaked and optimized. Dry weight is 196 kilograms, same as the R version, and the 890 Adventure carries 20 litres of fuel in its iconic low fuel tanks, with a seat height of 850 or 830 mils, with the adjustability built into the standard bike. That right there is probably one of the biggest points of note, as the Adventure R is much taller at 880 mils, with the Rally higher still at 910. The standard seat is also a 2-piece unit and definitely looks to have been designed with more comfort in mind. That means a lower amount of ground clearance of course, with 233 mils on the standard compared to 263 on the R and an enormous 303 on the Rally. Interestingly, the standard also runs a slightly shorter wheelbase at 1509mm, with the R's set at 1528, both of those with about 15 mils of variation. There's also a slight variance in the steering head angle and trail as well on that standard version. Brakes across all 3 models are the radially mounted 4-piston front calipers on 320mm rotors, plus a 2-piston floating rear caliper on a 260mm rotor, and KTM promises both offer more controllability compared to the 790. Updates across all 890s are to the front master cylinder for better feel, plus a new rear caliper with isolated pistons and a braided line. The biggest difference is of course that the standard version is fitted with WP Apex 43 shocks with no adjustability, plus a WP Apex monoshock with preload and rebound adjustability. In comparison, the R runs fully adjustable Explore 48 forks and an Explore shock with both full adjustability and high and low speed compression adjustment. The more basic suspension setup and lower seat height on the standard 890 Adventure also deliver 200 mils of travel at each end compared to 240 on the R version with its up-spec suspenders. The chromium, molybdenum steel frame and trellis subframe are the same across all 890 models, but updated over the 790 to save weight without losing strength. Wheels are also a common item between the standard and the R at least, with fitment of a 2.5 by 21 inch front and 4.5 by 18 inch rear, and those are clad in a 90 by 90 and a 150 by 70 set of tyres respectively, albeit with more road orientated standard rubber found on the standard 890 Adventure. The wheels also benefit from the anodized hubs you see on both other versions, although only the Rally gets the anodized rims to match. The 890 Adventure also receives the updated switch block, although apparently cruise control software is not included. There's also the eye-catching TFT display, of course, with smartphone connectivity, and the KTM My Ride app, which adds turn-by-turn navigation to that functionality with your phone. Now, the 790 Adventure base model was $21k plus change here in Australia, with the R version adding an additional $1,500 premium. And what we are seeing here with the 890 Adventure and 890 Adventure R very much mimics the gap between the two models as far as specifications, although it's clear KTM have taken on board some feedback as far as the seat heights. That puts the standard 890 Adventure very much in a position to be your everyday touring option, and that significantly shorter seat height will make it an obvious choice for the shorter stature riders, and a far more inviting machine for a larger swathe of riders who don't want that really tall adventure bike. The more basic suspension and tyre option also lean it towards those riders with more of a road focus, while the 890 Adventure R, with higher spec suspension, more ground clearance, more suspension travel, and more adjustability, is of course going to appeal to the more advanced or demanding of riders. Now, we haven't heard about pricing yet, but it'll be interesting to see where it lands. There's currently deals going on the 790 Adventure R, which have dropped it down to under the 22k mark right away here in Australia, and that may just be to clear inventory ahead of the 890's arrival. But I am left wondering whether KTM might try to price that standard version a bit lower to take some of the wind out of the Yamaha Tenere 700 sales, creating a bigger gap between the standard and the 890R. Of course, it doesn't really look like KTM need to take that kind of action, but the seat height change in my mind very much means trying to appeal to a wider audience. Anyway, that's a quick overview of what we know about the standard 890 Adventure due in 2021. We don't have official pricing yet, but this looks like one to look forward to in the new year, and hopefully 2021 will be a better riding year than 2020 has proven to be. If you've enjoyed the video, let me know your thoughts below, and if you'd like to support the channel, sub and hit that notification bell. As always, stay safe out there, and thanks for watching.